The room is quiet in the way museums get quiet after closing. Glass cases, small spotlights, a sense that everything valuable is sleeping. And then, one night, in Jerusalem, time itself gets stolen. The place is the L.A. Meyer Museum for Islamic Art. It is not a bank. It is not a fortress. It is a museum that holds history behind glass. That is the point. The collection inside includes rare clocks and watches from David Salomon's collection, including Breguet pieces and a legendary pocket watch linked to Marie Antoinette. Museum officials later valued that watch at over $30 million. Now jump to April 1983. Staff arrive and immediately feel it. Glass panels on the floor, empty cases, packing remnants. The collection is gone. The theft is dated to the night of April 15th, with the discovery the morning of April 17th in reporting and museum recollections. Either way, the result is the same. One night, 106 timepieces vanish. Imagine the thief moving with purpose, not random smashing, not chaos. This looks like someone who knew what they wanted and how long they had. Israeli investigators later said the burglar bent bars on a back window and slipped inside undercover, using the building's weak points like a map. Police also said he was thin enough to squeeze through the opening and that he knew where guards were positioned. Not luck, preparation. The stolen haul is not just one famous watch. It is 106 rare clocks and watches, plus additional objects. The museum's insurance coverage was far below the real value. The Marie Antoinette watch becomes the symbol because it is so distinctive. A Breguet masterpiece, hundreds of parts. A story people repeat because it sounds impossible. The immediate question is simple. How do you steal something that famous and not get caught trying to sell it? The market for rare watches is small. Everybody watches everybody. For years, investigators search the obvious channels: auctions, collectors, dealers, and for years, nothing surfaces. It is as if the collection fell through the floor. Inside the museum, the emptiness becomes its own exhibit. Empty cases that look like missing teeth. A reminder that someone beat the system and walked out with time. A heist can be over in minutes, but the consequences last decades. Now a name that matters later. Noman Diller, also known as Noman Lador, a notorious Israeli burglar with a reputation for technical skill and audacity. Investigators considered Diller early, then ruled him out because documents suggested he was out of the country. Later, investigators said that alibi was fabricated with forged documentation. If you want to understand the style, look at what he was known for: a meticulous thief, a thief who planned, a thief who liked the problem more than the payday. For the museum case, investigators later believed he cased the building, noted the broken alarm, watched guard positions, and waited for the right night. The entry method described in reporting is almost humiliating in its simplicity. A back window, bars bent, a parked vehicle providing cover, a ladder or rope to assist. Inside, the thief chooses what can fit through the opening and dismantles what cannot. A watch is small, but the value is enormous. And then the most important part of any heist, the exit. No alarms, screaming, no chase through streets, just a quiet return to the night with history in a bag. For the next 2 decades, the trail stays cold. This is a key point for your audience. The best heists are not loud. They are silent. They leave absence. Then the case changes shape. Not because police suddenly get smarter, because the loot begins to move. And when stolen art moves, somebody sees it. In August 2006, a Tel Aviv art dealer reportedly contacts museum staff after being asked to value clocks he recognized from the stolen collection. Soon after, a lawyer calls the museum. A woman says she has dozens of the stolen pieces. She will return them, but she wants a deal, a price, anonymity, no police involvement. The museum wants its collection back. Police want a trail. The woman wants protection and payment. Everybody wants something. The museum agrees to pay a relatively small amount compared to the value, reported around $35,000 to $40,000, to secure the safe return of dozens of pieces. The deal stays quiet for a time, but the story leaks. Once it becomes public, police examine the returned clocks and interrogate intermediaries. The case wakes up. The trail leads to Los Angeles. A woman named Neely Shamrot, identified as the caller's client and identified as the widow of Nauman Diller. The story that emerges is chilling in its calm. Diller died of cancer, and on his deathbed he confessed the heist to his wife and left the stolen goods to her. It only makes sense because the man is already dead. There is no interrogation, no trial, only reconstruction. In May 2008, investigators execute a search warrant at Shamrot's home in Tarzana. They find more clocks and other stolen artifacts, including paintings and an antique manuscript. They also reportedly find museum display placards. That detail hits hard. It suggests possession was not just hidden, it was curated like a private museum. From there, investigators follow the money and the storage. Safety deposit boxes, multiple countries, Tel Aviv, Europe, Los Angeles, a network of hiding places. The extraordinary detail in reporting is that Diller sold very few of the watches. Instead, he kept them. Passion matters here. A thief who steals to keep behaves differently than one who steals to sell. Museum staff later said the thief kept parts in good condition and even wrote meticulous notes about components and mechanisms, sometimes on scraps of paper. By the time the dust settles, authorities recover 96 of the 106 stolen timepieces. 10 remain missing, their locations unknown. The case now becomes two stories. The solved story is how the heist happened and how most pieces returned. The unsolved story is what happened to the missing 10 and whether any were quietly traded. In July 2009, recovered items go back on view, this time in a more secure display described as a walk-in safe. The museum rebuilds the exhibit around the trauma. Meanwhile, the legal consequences land on the widow, not the thief. In 2010, Shamrot is sentenced in Los Angeles to probation and community service related to receiving stolen property. Some see her as complicit. Some see her as the person who finally brought the collection home. Authorities and reporting note she said she learned details later. The ethics here are uncomfortable. The museum paid money to get pieces back. Police used that return to reopen the case. The public got closure, but not clean closure. Now zoom out and look at what made this heist work. A target with immense value, low portability friction, and a buyer market that is too small to safely fence the goods openly. A thief who understood that reality could steal the collection and treat it like a private obsession. And that obsession, ironically, helped preserve it for recovery. There is also the operational skill. Police and reporting describe careful casing, exploiting a broken alarm, and choosing an entry point that was physically narrow. This is why the nickname sticks. The time thief. Not because he stole time, but because he stole the instruments we use to measure it, and then made the world wait 25 years for answers. If you want the most chilling detail, it is the way the collection resurfaces, not through a police raid first, through a phone call and a negotiation, like a hostage exchange. The Marie Antoinette watch. Stolen in 1983, missing for over 2 decades. Returned to the museum by 2008 in reporting, and later displayed again. In 2024, reporting noted the watch traveled to London for display, described as its first trip abroad since its safe return to the museum. That is a quiet victory over the theft. But 10 pieces are still missing. Somewhere they sit in a drawer, a vault, a private collection, or they were broken apart and lost forever. That is the part the file cannot close. So here is the question that lingers. Did the thief keep the missing 10 as trophies? Or were those the only pieces he could successfully move without attracting attention? We do not know. The story ends with a museum that rebuilt, a collection that mostly returned, and a thief who never had to explain himself because time ran out first. And that is the twist. The biggest heists do not always end with a dramatic arrest. Sometimes they end with a phone call years later and a quiet recovery, while a few pieces stay missing like a final insult.